We're going to be checking out 9 more differences between the USA and Australia. This one's a part 3 video. The only reason we're doing it is because there's 3 parts and we've already done the first 2 parts. It's pretty simple. The original channel is Ellie Majelli. You can find the link to that in the description section down below as always, so you can make sure you go over there and hit like on her video, because that's fair. That's what we do here. So don't forget to hit like on my video as well. Don't leave me out. Okay. All right, so we're going to check this out. 9 more differences. Let's see what she has to say. Ellie Majelli.
Welcome back to part 3 of the differences between California and Melbourne, Australia. Today I will be jumping into some differences that I've noticed in the past couple months of living in Australia. I was actually born in Australia and then I moved to California and now I am back in Australia, so I wanted to show you guys all the differences that I've noticed in the past couple months. Let's waste no time and let's jump right into the differences.
No time wasted.
So one thing that Australians do that Americans don't is at the end of the birthday song, so if it's someone's birthday, you bring out a cake to them, you sing happy birthday to them. At the end of that song, you say hip hip hooray 3 times. So there'll be like a designated person. I don't really know how you determine who the designated person is, but they'll shout out hip hip and then the whole crowd goes hooray. Kind of like if you've heard of Aussie 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 oi oi oi. It's that same kind of back and forth between an individual and a crowd where someone will say like Aussie 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 and the crowd will go oi, oi, oi. It's just something really cute about Australia that they do in addition to the birthday song that Americans don't. One thing—
Yeah, we do not do that. I've never heard of that. That's interesting. Hip, hip, hooray. Okay.
thing that I noticed about Australia as well is that when you're going to the gas station, instead of paying first and then going to fill up your gas, you fill up your gas and then you go inside to pay.
It used to be like that here, but then assholes kept stealing gas. They would just put a bunch of gas in their car and then drive off. Or put a bunch of gas in their car and then go in and then use a credit card with no money and then just act like they're surprised. Oh, I don't know why. Oh, no. Yeah. So they put an end to that.
I don't have a car in Australia, so I think that's why it took me a couple months to realize that. I was borrowing one of my cousin's cars, and when I went to go fill up her car, I noticed everyone was going in to pay, and I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, do I fill up my car? And I did like a little Google search being like, in Australia, how do people fill up their gas tanks? And also in Australia, it's petrol, not gas, so I should probably...
Just like England. Petrol.
Forewarned with that. So you would fill up your car first with petrol and then you would go into the store and pay for it. So how it works in America, which is a little different, you can pay at the station itself, and also in some states you actually have somebody else fill up your tank for you. So I think that's in like Oregon and maybe Washington. I know for sure it's Oregon. Yeah, I think.
Really?
Maybe it's Washington too, I don't know. First you would like pay with your card at the actual place where you fill up your car. So like you're not walking into the store, but you're doing it like at the pump station. You would pay, type in your PIN, whatever, say how much you want to buy of the petrol, and then you would fill up your car. So only if you're paying with cash or maybe your card doesn't work is when you would go into the station and actually pay. But in Australia, everyone goes through the station. So you just go into the station, say, I filled up at pump number 5, and then you just pay and you go.
So there's no option, it sounds like, 0 option to just pay at the pump with a credit card. Interesting.
I don't know why necessarily that in
why?
Australia you would pay after you filled up your gas tank, because you would think like someone would just fill up their tank and drive away, but apparently it doesn't happen often. So if you're from America, you'll be familiar with the app called Venmo. So Venmo
I've heard of it. I don't use it.
is a way to pay people.
I use Cash App. That's what I use.
From bank to bank. That's popular in America, and practically everyone I know uses Venmo in order to pay somebody. So let's say if you go to a dinner and you want to split the bill, someone would pay for it with one card and everybody would Venmo that one person. In Australia, you don't use...
Sorry, my AI is trying to talk to me. I need to throw my phone away. I don't know why. I gotta go back. What is she talking about?
I know uses Venmo in order to pay somebody. So let's say if you go to a dinner and you want to split the bill, someone would pay for it with one card and everybody would Venmo that one person. In Australia, you don't use a third party, you just transfer bank to bank. I haven't done it yet because I still haven't set up a bank account, even though it's been 3 months of living in Australia. I don't have a bank account, so Yeah. If I were to pay somebody and if I had a bank account, I would send them my information or they would send me their information, and it would be like a direct bank to bank transfer. Instead of with Venmo, your bank transfers to Venmo and then Venmo then sends the money to the person, which then they would transfer to
But
their
it's
bank.
easier to use Venmo. I Cash App is what I use, but I'm pretty sure it's a very similar thing. It's basically the same thing. You just send it, boom, it's done. Bank to bank transfer sounds kind of like a pain in the ass, to be honest with you.
Why exactly America doesn't have a direct bank to bank transfer? I know they do for like, you know, if you're a company obviously paying for somebody, but they don't have any like bank to bank transfer for individuals, but Australia does. So if you know any more about that, definitely let me know in the comments.
That's weird.
One thing I think that is probably covered in other differences videos would be that on the outlets into the wall, they actually have a switch to turn the switch on and off. So the reason behind that, I think, is so you don't electrocute yourself when you're like plugging something into the wall. So you can turn the electricity off before you go in and plug in your device or whatever you're plugging into the wall. So I think it's—
You won't get electrocuted. Not a thing. It won't happen. That's just weird. I think maybe it's just more convenience. You put a switch on the light on the thing, and then it's like, okay, you have lights, whatever, plugged in. You can turn them on and off with the switch at the outlet. I think it makes sense. I don't think it's to prevent electrocution, though.
It's a great thing that you have the ability to turn on and off the outlet. However, it can kind of bite you in the butt later on. That's because when you plug in your device, say you're from America and you plug in your device and you're not thinking to like turn on that little switch, you might be plugging in your phone to charge, and
that's why you always make sure you plug it in, you look for the icon, make sure your phone's charging before you walk away. Who doesn't do that? How would you not be like, you know, I would instantly be like, wait, something's up. Is this cord messed up? What's going on? Why isn't it charging? You wait, there's a vibration, there's haptic feedback, there's something that tells you it's indeed working.
And you realize you didn't turn the switch on and your phone doesn't charge.
No, that would never happen to me.
And you wake up in the morning and your phone's dead. So it's definitely kind of a sad thing that can happen sometimes, especially if you're not familiar with having to turn that switch on all the time. Can run into situations where you're not actually charging or not actually plugging in something. So a lot of times—
No, you just take the time to make sure when you plug something in, you just take the time to make sure it's actually charging. You don't just plug it in and go about your day and just hope for the best, because that's when stuff happens and your shit don't get charged. Sorry, but that's facts.
So like plugged in a hairdryer and I'm like, why is my hairdryer not working? Like, is it broken? Like, I'm like, oh, I didn't flip the little switch.
Yeah.
So definitely like little learning lesson of being in Australia. One thing that I did notice about Australia is that kids go to school at a later time than we do in America. So when I went to high school and for elementary school as well, I think I started school around like 7:30 in the morning. So I'd have to be up by like 6, get ready, go to school, and then I'd be in my class at 7:30. And I was walking around the neighborhood like on a weekday, just around probably like 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock. And I just saw a bunch of school kids, because the school kids wear uniforms. That's another difference. In Australian schools, they wear uniforms, and in America, it's just like free dress. Like you can wear whatever you want within the dress code, you know. I was walking around the neighborhood and I saw all these kids who were in their school uniforms just kind of like strolling around, walking around like this park that we have nearby. I talked to my cousin later on and I was like, why are there like kids hanging out on a weekday just like by the park in the morning? And she's like, oh, probably because they're like waiting to go to school or like waiting to take the bus. And I'm like, what time do they start? And she's like, oh, it depends, maybe like 9:30. And I was like, that is so late compared to what I grew up with. In America and in California at least, like I would start like at 7:30, which was honestly really hard, because it's like, how are you gonna get a full night's rest when you have to wake up at 6 a.m. all the time? Because of that, I did get off of school at like 2 p.m., which was nice, but in Australia, I think they get off around like 3:30 or 4. But I think—
So we started school around 7:30-ish, 7:40, I think. We were done at 2:40. You ride the bus, you're home about 3:30 in your driveway.
times have changed, at least back in California, because I know the school that I went to for high school now switched to an 8:30 start time instead of a 7:30 start time.
Yeah, 7:30. What do you mean super early? Americans is 7:30. That's what she said was 7:30.
I'm glad, because I was very sleep deprived in high school, so glad that the future generation gets to sleep a little bit more, because it's very important. Also, if you're like—
Just go to bed an hour earlier. Right?
Making these differences videos, definitely subscribe so you can get more types of videos like this. I do like to make a lot of vlogs as well of just my life and what I'm doing in Melbourne. So if you're interested in that, stick around, subscribe, and you'll see more. Definitely a funny thing that I noticed when I first came to Australia, when it was a little...
Oh yeah, she just mentioned Melbourne. I just watched the 3rd episode of Houseos, and the title of that episode is Melbourne. It's on my Patreon, which I'm watching other shows on there too. Links down below if you want to check it out.
A little bit warmer, was that the guys' shorts, just like normal everyday guys that wear shorts, their shorts are so much shorter than what we have in California.
Yeah, I noticed that because I watched a channel called How Ridiculous, and it's these Australian people, these guys that do like, they toss stuff off towers and bridges and whatnot, and it's just really fun videos. I watched them for years, and that's one thing I noticed with them is they wear really short shorts, like really short shorts, way shorter than what you'd see around here.
I know Southern California has shorter shorts because it's like warmer most of the time, and like I guess they're a little bit more like trendy. Yeah.
It depends on the region for sure, and the like the style you're going for. It's more popular now more, you know, with the shorter shorts, but not so much historically. So I guess in the 70s it was short shorts.
Yeah, some of the guys' shorts are like, oh my god, like I wouldn't even wear shorts that short. So there are tradesmen, and they call them tradies in Australia, and they were like the bright fluoro tops and like their work outfits and like the work boots and everything. And their shorts are so short, like I'm definitely not used to seeing that in California, and coming to Australia was definitely like a little bit of a culture shock thing. Like, oh my god, their shorts are so short. If you took the average short length in America compared to Australia, it would be like inches of difference. Because like Americans like to wear their shorts a little bit lower, I would feel.
And a lot of the guys like around their kneecap. Like it used to be like you like a lot of the time, depending on the style, a lot of guys wouldn't wear shorts if the shorts were above their knees. If their knees were showing, they wouldn't wear it. Now it's more common to have the shorts be right above the kneecap, but not like your whole thigh hanging out. That's definitely not a common thing here.
Like, and then Australia, it's like way shorter. They probably have like a good 5-inch inseam. Maybe that's too much. Maybe, I think it's probably more like a 4-inch inseam, but good for them, you know, show off your legs. One thing I did notice that is actually a really smart decision from the Australian government to put a standard drink measurement on all alcoholic beverages. What that means is that there's different kinds of standard drinks. I don't know what they are exactly in terms of like ounces, because I know it's like ounce to ounce difference. You know, if you have like a beer, it's a certain amount of ounces compared to like a wine, which is a certain amount of ounces.
Okay. I know it. So here in the United States, you have a thing called like the legal limit, right? It's your blood alcohol content has to be below 0.08 to be legally allowed to drive or whatever. And they say that you can have a drink per hour because your body takes about an hour to metabolize and break that drink down, right? So they say roughly a drink an hour. So if you go into the bar and have 3 drinks, then you should wait at least 3 hours before you drive, right? But a drink is... So basically around here, they say like, okay, 1 shot is equal to 1 beer, right? And then that is equal to so many ounces of a wine or blah, 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 blah. That way your alcohol levels stay within a, you can't say, oh, well, drink, okay, cool, and then fill your glass of whiskey. That's not how it works. Clearly that's stronger than beer, right? So a 12-ounce beer would be like around about an ounce shot of whiskey, because whiskey's 40% alcohol and beer is probably 6-7%, whatever, I think that's what this one is. Maybe. Or something similar at least.
And it depends all on the alcohol percentage of the drink. So in Australia, every alcoholic beverage has to have how many standard drinks are in that drink. So for example, a beer would have like 1 standard drink, or maybe a little bit more of an alcoholic beer would be like 1.2 standard drinks. That way when you're drinking, you can kind of keep track of how many drinks you're drinking, how many standards you're drinking. So when you have those standards, it really helps you know and understand how much alcohol you're actually drinking.
Makes sense.
Which I feel like is so much safer, because in in America, when you're drinking like a alcoholic drink, the only type of measurement that you have is that percentage. They would say like, this beer is 4.5%, or this beer is like 8% compared to like this wine that's like 12%. With that, you kind of have to judge differently because maybe you have a tall can, so the tall can has more volume. Having that standard drink printed onto all of the alcoholic beverages in Australia just makes so much more sense. I feel like you really understand how much alcohol you're actually intaking. Okay, yeah, a Corona is 1.3 standard drinks. And back in America, I would be like, oh, it's just like one standard, like it's just one beer. Definitely kind of puts into perspective how much alcohol you're actually consuming. And I think it also just keeps you safer because now you're not over consuming alcohol. Nice. However, I know Australians love to drink, so.
Yeah, that's not gonna keep you from over drinking. Like, you're still gonna drink. You're still gonna drink it, right? I mean,
a final difference, or just really something that I noticed about Australia, is that eating kangaroo is a thing. A lot of my...
I want to do it. So I've had kangaroo jerky. Okay, so here in the United States, there's a brand called Wild Game Jerky. And they can't sell it 100% kangaroo or crocodile or ostrich or whatever it is, right? They cut it with beef. So I think it's like a 60-40. So... I think if it's like 40% beef or whatever, then they can sell it. I don't remember for sure. I looked on the package. It's been years, but I bought this stuff called Wild Game Jerky, and I tried the ostrich, the crocodile, alligator, kangaroo, all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't bad, but it was in a jerky form, 60% kangaroo, 40% beef, jerky form. If that's, I'm not counting that as tried kangaroo, right? I want to try a kangaroo steak. Just a kangaroo steak. That sounds great. I want to try it. I don't know why. It just sounds good. At least to try it once.
American friends were very shocked when I sent them a picture of like some kangaroo meat in the grocery store. They were like, no way you eat kangaroos. And one of my friends is like very offended anytime that I eat kangaroo. She's like, they're so cute. How could you eat them? But it's just funny because eating kangaroo...
I don't care. Cows are cute too, but you know what? I want to shove a big greasy cheeseburger down my throat. Just saying.
I think is a little bit more normalized in Australia because obviously it's an animal that originates in Australia. There's a lot of kangaroos around. Yeah, I feel like humans definitely find a way to eat anything that is edible. So I think it's one of like the most lean kinds of meats as well. So it tastes good. I've had it a couple times. So I will be going back to the US for a couple weeks in May. So if you guys have any suggestions on any of the content you want me to make while I'm in...
Okay, so that's irrelevant to this video. This was posted a year ago, so she's probably already even went back to the United States and made her video. Maybe we'll come back to it and check it out at some point. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But anyways, that was 9 more differences. These videos are fun. If you like them, please hit like. That makes sense, right? If you like it, hit like. Do me a favor, hit subscribe. It only takes you a second of your time, completely free. And it helps the channel out way more than you know. So you guys have a super fun, awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.